Good morning, everybody. So when you're ready, find your way to your seat and we'll start with our breathing practices. No rush about that, but just find a comfortable posture to be in. Sit up as tall as you can with your hands resting in your lap in some comfortable and supportive way. Close your eyes and redirect your focus to your breath. Now first, just pay very close attention to your inhaling and your exhaling. Collect your concentration, and when your mind wanders away from your breath, just redirect there. And today we'll start with the 9-part breath. So lift your right hand all the way up to your face. Place the tip of your index and middle finger right between your eyebrows. Breathe in deeply. Exhale all of your air. Use your thumb to block the right nostril, then inhale left. Ring finger to left, exhale right. Inhale left side. Exhale right. Inhale left side. Exhale right side. Breathe in through the right. Exhale out the left. Inhale right side. Exhale left. Inhale right side. Exhale left side. And drop your hands. Breathe all the way in. Hold your breath. Exhale. Again, breathe in deeply. Hold. Exhale. Once more, breathe all the way in. And then exhale all of your air. Take the next few moments to breathe normally. And once again, just pay close attention to your breath. And for the moment, join your hands together in a prayer at your chest and bring to mind someone you would like to dedicate today's practice to. And send your person some good energy mentally. All right, whenever you're ready, open your eyes and we'll start with the downward facing dog. So plant your hands up there near the front of your mat. Measure out your stance by shifting to a plank position for just a moment. Once you've lifted your hips all the way into the air, just do some pedaling to loosen up your hamstrings and calves.
It's oftentimes nice to rotate your torso from one side to the other side as well, because that helps your shoulder joint to loosen up. So move into some of that. And continue on with your pedaling as you continue rotating back and forth. And then roll onward to the high push-up position. You can use your knees on the floor if it helps you, and then lower all the way down to your belly this time. Prop yourself up on your elbows so you look like a sphinx. And then this first time, just press your elbows down into the ground, sort of pull your elbows backward to drag your chest a slight bit further forward, and lift your collarbones till you feel some opening in your back. Well, truly, you're getting contraction in your back muscles and some stretching in your belly and your chest. And slide your shoulders down away from your ears so they get closer to your belts, and keep breathing deeply. Now let your chest drop down toward the earth. Shift your hips back toward your heels for the child's pose, just initially. Let your hips rock side to side and back and forth, and walk your hands forward toward the front of your mat. Roll upwards to the four-pointed kneeling position. Then swing your right leg all the way forward to the front of your mat. Slide your left leg a little further backwards. And with your hands placed just inside of your foot, try to keep your right knee right above your ankle beneath, and let your hips heavily sink down toward the ground. As you do this, you'll start to get some opening in your right hamstrings and the hip flexors of your back leg as well. Now shift your weight back just a little bit. Swing your right leg back to cat-cow Kriya position, and your left leg forward to the front of your mat. Deepen your stance just a little bit by sliding your right leg further backwards, and let your hips descend downwards. I'm still getting warmed up here, so no need to take your elbows down to the ground. Just try to keep your arms really, really straight, and your left knee stacked right above the ankle beneath. Let your hips really sink down toward the earth for a few more breaths. And shift some weight back toward the rear of your mat so you can swing your left leg backwards. Some cat-cow Kriyas next. Just round your back with your exhales and roll your tail under. Arch your back with your inhales. And carry on through those. If it helps you to slow down your breath, you can always make it sound like Darth Vader. It's that old school technique, Ujjayi Pranayama. Now draw your torso back to a more neutral position. And then reach your left arm out to the side for just a moment, just to get your hand off the floor. To twist your spine, thread the needle. Sweep your left arm all the way across and take your shoulder and the side of your head down to the floor. For the next few moments, just take some deep breaths into your back muscles. It's down to your hand to come all the way back up. And then once you've done that, reach your right arm all the way out to the side. Just thread the needle all over again. Once your arm is swept across your midline, try to drop your ribs down so that your shoulder comes nearer the floor. And if possible, put the side of your head on the ground also, and then just start breathing deep again. And now drive down through your hand to come all the way back up. Plant your hands near the front of your mat and move back to the downward facing dog. Now today we're going to start with the classical form of the sun salutation. It's a little bit different in that it doesn't involve any push-ups. So take a look forward and then step or jump upwards near the front of your mat. Come up to your fingers once you've landed there. Forward fold with your exhale. Now use an inhale to sweep upward with a straight spine. At the top, sweep your arms overhead as well as back for a gentle back bend. And then forward fold with your exhale. Both hands down to the ground. You can bend your knees if it helps. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Step your right foot back with an exhale to a lunge. With your heel pointed up, and use an inhale to sweep your arms out to the sides and up. Downward facing dog with your exhale. And the right leg does all the work on this side. So step your right foot forward this time around. Left heel points up. Use an inhale to sweep your arms out to the sides and up. Press back for your left heel. Plant your hands. Step forward this time around. Use an inhale to come up to your fingers. And then fold again with your exhale. Standing back bend. Use an inhale to sweep upwards. Arms back. Shift your hips forward just a little bit. Forward fold with your exhale. Now lift to your fingers on the inhale. Step your left foot all the way back. Crescent lunge with an inhale. Both arms up. Downward facing dog with your exhale. Left foot forward. Inhale all the way up to the full lunge. Plant your hands. Step forward with feet together. Use an inhale to come up to your fingers. Fold as you exhale. No back bend this time. Sweep up to standing with arms outwards and then up. Interlace your hands above your head. Straighten your arms and point your index finger up. And then bend your torso to the right to stretch your side. Either look down at the floor or upward under your armpit toward the sky. And next time you inhale, come all the way out of that one. And then switch over for the same posture on the other side. Gaze in the same direction you did previously. And try to keep both sides of your chest relatively squared to the front of your mat. And the next time you breathe in, come all the way back up. Forward fold with your exhale and take your hands all the way down to the floor. Bend your legs. Use an inhale to sweep your arms all the way up. And join your hands together in a prayer. Twisting to your right, cross your left elbow gently over your legs. With hands pressed together in a prayer, rotate your spinal column open to your sideways. Now the next time you breathe in, sweep both arms all the way back up for the chair posture. Join your hands at your heart. Rotate your torso off to the left. Hook your elbow all the way over your legs. With hands joined together in a prayer, press your hands together to rotate again. Deep, slow breaths. The next time you inhale, come back to the chair posture. Straighten your legs to stand up tall. And take your hands to your waist and then heel toe your feet apart until they're separated by hip distance. Now this time around, shift your hips forward a little bit. Guide your hip creases gently backward to lift your tailbone slightly. And then from there, stretch your belly with a gentle standing back bend. This time, squeeze your elbows back in together. Use an inhale to come all the way up. Fold forward with your exhale. And take your fingertips or your hands to the ground. Use an inhale to lift all the way up to your fingers. High push-up position with arms very straight. Lower down until your shoulder is around even with your elbow. Inhale for the up dog. Knees can be up or down. And then back to the down dog stretch. One more round of pedaling to stretch the backs of your legs. With that part of the warm-up concluded, we gotta build up a little more body's heat to make you stretch. So take a look forward and step or jump upwards near-ish the front of your mat. Come up to your fingers, bend your legs from there, and then come up to the chair with arms swept outwards and upwards. Join your hands together in a prayer at your chest, and come up to the tiptoes of your right foot. Your left heel just stays on the floor. You can stay there if you like, otherwise draw your right heel up to your posterior. Bend your standing leg, and just keep your eyes locked on some single solid point below.
Now lean forward just a little bit more. Step all the way back to a lunging posture and turn your rearmost heel down. Warrior One with an inhale. Sweep your arms outwards and upwards. If possible, interlace your hands and point your index finger up. Straighten your arms. Gaze up toward your fingers and bend your left leg substantially. For the next few moments, just breathe and maintain. Try to press your exhales all the way out of your lungs. And then leaning forward, plant your hands upon the earth. High push-up position to low. The up dog with your inhale. The down dog again with your exhale. Step or jump up to the front of your mat. Come up to your fingers once you landed. Forward fold with your exhale. And bending both legs, use an inhale to come all the way up to the chair. Now join your hands together in a prayer position at your heart. Lock your eyes on your solid point. With your legs still really bent, come up to the tiptoes of your left foot. Just squat a little deeper there. Now if you do want to make it a slight bit more challenging, drag your left heel up to your posterior. Balance there with the top of your pelvis relatively leveled to the ceiling. Now having said that, in that position, the top of your pelvis will also tilt forward toward the floor in front just a bit. Now lean forward as much as you're able. Float your rear foot all the way back. Turn your heel down to the floor beneath you. And then use an inhale to come up to Warrior One. You can interlace your hands, do so, otherwise let them be apart. Straighten your arms. Reach up through your fingertips. Gaze up toward your outstretched hand and bend your front leg substantially as you hold. Deep, slow breaths. Straighten out your leg all the way. Take your hands to your waist and turn your feet to face the left side of your mat. Once you've done so, spin your big toes in, and then take a standing back bend with an inhale. Forward fold with your exhale. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Turn your toes out and bend your knees with an exhale. Just sink down into your hips, round your spine, and let your head hang near the floor. And then crisscross your arms underneath your chest, down toward the ground. Use an inhale to stand up. Straighten your legs, reach your arms up. Bend and cross with your exhale. Inhale to come up. Exhale, bend. Really deep breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale up to the top. Squeeze your glutes and reach your arms up. Exhale, bend. Now take your fingers to the floor. Bend your legs even further and come all the way up to your fingertips so your spine is parallel to the floor. Reach your arms all the way back near your sides. If you want to make it harder, reach your arms forward. For that, you'll have to shift your hips back just a little bit. If your arms are forward, lift your arms a little higher upwards into the air and just keep sinking downward into your hips. And with your torso still parallel to the floor, let your arms hang near the ground. With your legs still bent, come up to the horse, arms out to the sides and up. Then straighten your legs, reach your arms all the way out to your sides. Take a really big step to get back to the front of your mat. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift to your fingers. Exhale, chaturanga push-up. Inhale, the up dog. Exhale, the down dog. Step your right foot forward. Turn your left heel to the ground. Use an inhale to come up to Warrior Two with your torso facing sideways. Now this time, lean forward and stack your right arm on your leg. Spin the underside of your body open so your chest is open to the side. And then extend the side angle by reaching your left arm all the way over your ear. Slide your right shoulder blade down toward your belt to create a really long neck. If you want to make things harder, release your external support, reach your right arm forward as well, and try to keep the sides of your body really long as you hold. Use an inhale to come back to warrior two. Straighten out your leg entirely. Squeeze your glutes as you straighten. And then bend the leg again. Turn your right hand up and reverse the warrior by side bending to your left. Squeeze strongly through your right hand and breathe. Now use an inhale to come all the way back up for warrior two. Straighten your leg, turn your feet to face the left side of your mat, and then repeat warrior two facing the other direction. Once you've spun your left toes backward, bend that leg a lot. Lean all the way forward with your left arm. Reach your right arm over the ear to the front. Now spin the underside of your body open. Sort of twist your torso open like a screwdriver handle. Reach your right arm over the ear to the front. Now extending both arms forward is a little more challenging, so if you're into that, reach your arms forward. If you're already getting enough work, just stay as you are and keep breathing deep again. All the way up for warrior two. Straighten out your leg, squeeze your glutes at the top, and bend your leg again. With your left hand facing upward, reverse the warrior for the side bend. Let's use that to open up a bunch of space between your ribs. And then back up to warrior two. Straighten out your leg. Turn your feet to face sideways. Heel toe your feet a bit closer together if it helps. And take a big, gigantic step to get back to the front of your mat. For the moment, join your hands together in a prayer. Close your eyes. And redirect all of your focus to your inhale and exhale. All right, now that you're heated up, we'll start to get a little stretchier. So use an inhale to sweep your arms upwards to the ceiling. Forward fold with your exhale. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Chaturanga push-up with an exhale. The up dog with your inhale. Then the down dog stretch with your exhale. Step your right foot forward. Come up to warrior two with an inhale. Straighten out your leg all together. Reach way out through the side of your body to elongate your right hand side. And then from there, drop your right hand down to your shin and reach your left arm straight upwards into the air. If you can keep both sides of your body long, you can take your hand further down. The priority right now, though, should be a really straight leg. And then just keep on twisting open to the edge. Different pose next. Bend your leg and spiral back up for warrior two. Once you've done so, straighten your leg and turn your feet to face the long edge of your mat. Fold forward over your right leg. Grab your calf or your ankle or your heel with both hands. And then gently just pull your forehead a little closer to your shin there beneath. Let go of your leg and walk your hands back to the center. Once you've done so, spin your left toes back toward the rear of your mat. Walk your hands around toward the rear of the mat itself and come back up to warrior two. Utthita Trikonasana, triangle. Straighten out your leg. Reach way out through the side of your body. Hand to the shin is a great place to be. If you can keep all of your angles long, feel free to take your hand deeper down. And just keep twisting. All right, bend your leg and spin yourself all the way back up for warrior two. Straighten your leg, turn your feet to face the long edge of your mat. And then from that position there, rotate off to the side, fold forward over your left leg. Grab your calf or your ankle or your heel, and gently just pull your forehead a little closer to your knee again. Ideally, you want to be feeling lots of stretch in the back of your left leg, your hamstrings.
Now walk your hands around back to the center so you wind up facing the long edge of your mat. Use an inhale to come up to your fingers. Move your hands to your waist from there. Stand all the way up. Shift your hips forward just a bit. Take a slight standing back bend at the top. And exhale back up. Reach your arms way out to your sides. Take a large step to get back to the front of your mat. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift to your fingers. Exhale, chaturanga push-up. Inhale, the up dog. Exhale, the down dog. A different pose. Step your left foot all the way forward. Take your back knee down to the floor. If you like, you can always roll your mat under for some additional padding. Otherwise, you can leave it down there on the floor. Now, for the moment, let your hips sink low. Sweep your arms out to the sides and up as you draw your torso to vertical. And for a moment, just let your hips sink toward the floor. Press your arms overhead as well as backward to open your belly and chest. Now lean forward and plant your hands on the ground. Curl your toes under and back and lift your back knee up. And then a jump switch for the lunge on the other side. Take your back knee all the way down to the ground. Pat it by rolling it under if it helps. Now for the next few moments, as your hips sink low, sweep your arms out to the sides and upwards. The most important part is that you let your hips sink, so really focus on that. Once you feel a lot of stretch in the back of your left leg, press your arms back toward the wall behind you again. And press your arms backward just a little further. And then plant your hands down there on the mat. This time, jump switch once more just for balance on your legs. And then the high push-up position, chaturanga. And the up dog. And the down dog to rest. Slow, even breaths, even now. All right, take a look forward and then step or jump up to the front of your mat. Come up to your fingers, hands to your waist. And then from there, just stand all the way up and come to vertical. All right, so here in Lincoln, the snow is very beautiful outside. For the dancer's pose, I'm going to turn toward my windows. But for now, just face in whatever direction you like and try to keep your eyes locked on something solid. We're going to do the dancer's pose. Now, for the moment, reach your left arm all the way up and take your right hand back to capture your foot. Initially, wait till the balance feels pretty good there. And then lifting your chest, press your foot upward into the hand. Just a bit like that lunge you did a little while back. Keep your eyes affixed to something solid as you start your forward lean. And the whole entire time, just try to keep your upward kicking. Good. Use an inhale to come back up. Drop your foot. Join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. And when you're ready, extend your other arm upward in the air, whichever one you've not done. Reach your hand back to capture your foot. Starts to get a little wobbly. That just gets worse if you go on, so take a few moments to stabilize. Now once you're feeling it, kick your foot all the way upward into the air. Lean forward just a little bit at a time while maintaining the upward kick. And try to keep breathing deep. I'll use an inhale to come back up. Drop your foot. Join your hands together in a prayer. And then the tree pose. Draw your right foot up to your left inner ankle. Of course, if you like to take your foot higher up, feel free to do so. And today, an arm position of your choice. I like to put my hands together in a prayer. You might like something else, so feel free to go for it. Let's find something to look at again and stabilize the balance with your gaze. And take your foot all the way back down to the floor. And when you're ready, take the same pose on the other side. Slide your foot up to approximately the same height. And then drop your foot all the way back down. And if you shifted, wander back up to the front of your mat. Now use an inhale to sweep your arms upwards. Forward fold with your exhale. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. High push-up position. All the way down to your stomach. And then upward onto your elbows for the Sphinx posture. Today, though, slide your legs further apart till they're wider than your hips. Parallel your right forearm to the front of your mat. Place your left hand in a push-up position, and then just rotate your torso left and gaze straight back. Now bend your leg back there. Reach back and grab your foot, and just draw your foot closer to your bum. If you can put your hand on the top of the foot, do so with your fingers facing your ankle. Press down on the foot to stretch your quadriceps. That's a big if, but if it feels okay to spiral your fingers around so they face the toes, try that, and just keep the pressure on the leg as you hold. All right, releasing that one there. Parallel your left forearm to the front of your mat. Initially, just place your right hand in a push-up position so that you can more thoroughly rotate right. Right hand in a push-up position so you can rotate right. Bend your back leg there. Now first, grabbing your foot and pulling your heel toward your hip will give you a good opening in your quadriceps. If it's not quite enough opening, put your hand on top of the foot, press down on it with your fingers facing your ankles. And sometimes you can slip your fingers around so they wind up facing the toes. Just press down on the foot as you continue to hold. Deep, slow breaths. Watch your foot collapse all the way back down to the floor. And slide your legs a little closer together. If you can even wiggle them all the way together so they're touching, go for it so you have a long tail like a snake. Prop yourself up on your elbows. Lift up through your collarbones and chest. If it feels 100% okay, work towards straighter arms. Now, a lot of times when people straighten the arms, they shrug the shoulders, which sort of puts some compression in the neck. So slide your shoulders down, pull backward with your hands, and lift upward through your chin. Roll yourself all the way back down to the floor. Plant your hands near the underside of your ribs. Use your knees if it helps, and press from the low push up to the high. Now this one's going to open your chest muscles a bit. So curl your toes under behind you. And lift your right leg all the way up with your legs still very bent. Swing your right leg across the midline so it sort of hooks behind your left leg. Reach your left arm out to the side, and then try to reach back and grab your foot. Press your foot upward into the hands. Squeeze your left shoulder blade all the way back, and just keep kicking the foot upward there to stretch the walls of your chest. And drop your foot all the way back down. And if you found the balance is a little challenging, try to curl your toes under this time. Lift your left leg all the way up. And for me, it's helpful to swing the leg across to hook. If that doesn't work for you, you can skip it, of course. But reach your right arm all the way out. Now, if you can reach back there, fish around a little bit, grab your foot, grab it, kick it straight upward to the ceiling. Squeeze your right shoulder back. And as you press your foot up, like you did in the dancer's pose stretch, you get some really good opening in your chest. All right, drop your knee all the way back down to the floor. And this time round, with your knees still centered on the floor, take your elbows all the way down to the earth. Now this one is horribly awkward, but it's a good stretch for your back. So for now, lift your tailbone up so you're like a happy dog with your knees on the floor. Shift some weight forward so your shoulders are above your elbows. Lift your collarbones as your tailbone continues to lift. And then if you want to throw in some dramatic flair, bend your legs and point your toes up. The most important thing though is that your tailbone is lifted and your collarbone, so you're in a pretty substantial back bend. Take your feet back down to the floor. To enter the puppy dog pose, just straighten your arms. If it helps, walk your hands a little further forward and let your whole middle chest sink down toward the earth. Now round your spine to lift your elbows. Lower yourself all the way back down to the floor. And one more repetition of the Sphinx. Prop yourself up on your elbows if you like. Or, should you prefer, work towards straighter arms. Slide your shoulders down. Pull backward with your hands. Lift up to the walls of your chest and breathe with some depth. Couple more breaths. And then all the way back down to the earth. Bend your legs and wave your ankles from one side to the other side repetitively. So we have to tighten up a few of those spots that we just bent. So prop yourself up on your elbows again. This time, either interlace your hands or let your hands be parallel. Doesn't matter which. And with your toes curled under your back, a forearm plank. First, you can sort of lift your hips higher upwards if you like. Then drop your hips down to they're roughly around shoulder height. Press your elbows into the floor. Round your upper back a little bit by tucking your ribs down in the front. And then just try to keep everything solid and as stiff as a board. And try to keep that upper back rounding a little bit and continuously press your elbows into the earth. And then for now, roll your heels over to your right. Parallel your right forearm with the front of your mat. Use your left hand on the ground for balance if it helps, or reach your left arm straight upwards into the air. Even now, tuck your ribs down in the front a little bit to keep things compact. Sweep your left forearm down. Flip onto the left side of your feet. Reach your right arm all the way up to the ceiling. And tuck your ribs down again. Take both arms to the ground. Interlace your hands if you can, or parallel your forearms. Once more, elbows down. Keep your torso stationary and stable. Final few moments of breath. And now take your knees down to the floor. From there, press all the way back to the child's pose. And let your hips drop down toward your heels. All right, so roll all the way over onto your right hip and then come up to a more vertical position. Now slide your right leg over to the right and draw your heel toward your innermost thigh. The top of your other foot just rests on the floor. Now, once you've done that, take your left hand to your left hip, sort of roll it around and forward so that your left hip lifts off the ground. Take your left hand to your right knee, place your other hand behind you, and just twist right as you gaze straight back. Now, release the twist, but keep your legs as they are, and then just fold forward between your legs so your knees are on either side of your shoulders. Now we'll give you some more stretch in your hip. Just like you did in the cobra stretch, try to slide your shoulders away from your ears.
And walk your hands all the way back. Slide your legs forward and roll over onto your left hip. And just draw both feet all the way back near your side. Now, when you slide your left leg over, your leg might go further than or not as far as mine. We're all built differently, so just slide it over till it stops. Grab your other leg and pull it back. Now, to protect your back, take your right hand to your right hip. Sort of roll the hip around and forward until your hip lifts off the floor. Take your right hand to your left knee. Lift a little higher upward in your chest. And then rotate and gaze straight backward over your shoulder again. Releasing the rotation, just keep your legs as they are and lean all the way forward again for a stretching in your hip. If having your elbows on the ground is too much, you can definitely do this one with straight arms. Still get good benefit. Next one takes place from reclining. So go ahead and sit up. Roll yourself all the way down to a full reclining position on your back. Reach both of your arms all the way out to your sides. Wrap your right knee over your left knee, just like you would in the Eagles pose. Slide your hips over to the right, and then drop your knees to the left-hand side of the class as you hold. Today, try to prioritize your right shoulder anchored to the floor. If your knees are nowhere close to the floor like mine, totally okay. You'll still get a really good chest stretch, which is really what we're after for now. And sweep your knees all the way back up. Make sure you slide your hips all the way over to the left side of your mat. And cross left knee over right. And drop your knees over to the right side this time around. And when you're ready, find your way to the corpse pose flat out on your back. Make any final adjustments you need to so you can get comfortably still. So some years back, my now ex-wife and I began the process of separating from our long-term relationship. We've been together for around 17 years, and I think we've been living with one another for 16 and a half. So for me, it was a big deal. It was pretty tough. If you've ever been through something like that, you know how hard it is. For me, I think one of the hardest things was actually going home at night. You see, she had decided to live in another country, and I had decided to live in the house that we had been in for a long time. And every single time I walked through the door, it was tough, man. I saw all of the different things that we had collected over the years, and those brought up a lot of memories. Just being in the house and having all that quiet around me when I was used to having another person there was totally strange. And to be honest, I absolutely just wanted to avoid the place. Now, around that time, it was actually great timing, but one of my personal heroes came to Boston. His name is Thich Nhat Hanh, and he's a Zen Buddhist monk, Vietnam. Now, he's famous for doing walking meditations with large groups of people, and he was coming to Boston to lead one of those. But I found out about it a little bit late, and I was disappointed to find that he was walking at a time that I was teaching class. Even so, the location where I was teaching in the class was very close to where he was doing the walk, so I lucked out. When I drove down there to go to work, I saw this huge entourage of probably over 1,000 people walking very slowly and mindfully. And I realized immediately that that was Thich Nhat Hanh's group. I was really hoping to see him, so I hopped out of my car and ran across the street to sort of stand near the edge of the common where he was walking with everybody else. And it was really great. I got to see him walking at the front of all those people. Now, it was really cool. I don't know if you spend a lot of time in Boston or not, but people here don't usually look too terribly peaceful. They move around really quickly, oftentimes absorbed in their own problems. Sometimes they look decidedly cranky, and if you do try to make eye contact, they totally don't look back. They look the other way because they fear that you might want something from them. Now, in contrast, that day it was really beautiful to see him walk. He was walking holding two little children's hands, and they were walking as peacefully as can be. Everybody else behind him was walking like those little kids. There were people in their 70s and 80s, there were people in their teens and 20s, and everybody in between in the spectrum. And pretty much everybody seemed to be really absorbed in their environment. They were paying attention to what they were doing, and they seemed to be so incredibly peaceful. So that in and of itself was inspiring. And as I stood there watching Thich Nhat Hanh walk, I just kept watching him, and at some point, something really meaningful happened. And he lifted his eyes up and he looked at me. And whereas most people in our city would just look away as soon as they made eye contact, he held my eye contact and he just looked back. Now, I don't know why, but that hit me so hard. It was a moment where I was really struggling a lot. I felt totally alone and I didn't feel seen. And that person just took a few moments to look back at me. And when I felt seen, it actually felt kind of healing. Now, after that moment, tears sort of welled up in my eyes. I had to go off and teach my class, so I did it. But that moment really stuck with me. It helped to remind me how important it is to be seen in times where we're experiencing difficulties. Now, I bring that story up now because there's a lot of people suffering in our lives, and I'm sure that each and every one of you know somebody who's having a hard time. I'm sure that in many instances, there's not much that can be done about that. But the one thing that you can do is show the person that you care. You can help them feel seen. Now, one of the best ways to do that is just to be present, to be aware, to be in their space. And I think that if you can give them that type of support, sometimes that can be the best type of healing. Now, of course, if you're centered in your body and your emotions are calm and stable, it's easier to be present, so the mind wanders less. And so finally, we'll close it down with a brief meditation. So for the next few moments, just close your eyes. And if you need to adjust any particular portion of your body, do so. And once you find something relatively comfortable to be in, just get still and heavy everywhere. Let your breath return to natural rhythms. No need to deepen it from here on. Just let it be shallow and completely normal. Now we're going to take a walk around the body. So redirect all of your awareness up to the top of your head. And there, just above your scalp, imagine a sensation of warmth like the heat from the sun. Like a sponge soaking up water, imagine that heat absorbing into the crown of your head. Imagine that heat spreading into spaces that feel tense. And just imagine the tension softening and melting. Feel that same warmth spreading from your crown all the way down to the space between your eyebrows and all the spaces in between. Literally imagine your skin and muscles sucking up that warmth like a sponge soaking up water. As that warmth spreads throughout, imagine it seeping into spaces that feel tense, resistant, or tight. And imagine that tension melting. Scan from your third eye down through the remainder of your face, all the way to the center of your throat. Spreading sensation of warmth or heat. And from the center of your throat out to the tips of your shoulders, spreading sensation of warmth. And from your shoulders to your elbows, and your elbows to your wrists. Wrists to fingertips. Fingertips to wrists. Wrists to elbows. Elbows to shoulders. Shoulders to center throat. Center throat to center chest. Center chest to navel. Navel to hips. Hips to your knees. Knees to the ankles. Ankles to the tips of your toes. Toes to ankles. Ankles to your knees. Knees to the hips. Hips to low belly. low belly to navel. Navel to center chest. Center chest to center throat. Center throats to the space between your eyebrows. And third eye to the top of the head. Well, I'm sure that every single human being has an experience where they also feel overwhelmed, completely alone, and uncertain about their future. It's part of the human circumstance for sure. I'm sure that you've experienced that as well. I'll bet you remember examples in your life where somebody actually made you feel seen in those moments. I bet if you reflect on those times, you'll see that you also got at least some healing. Now today, for a final practice, just engage in seeing. Bring to mind one of your friends who's struggling a little bit. For the next few moments, rather than turning away from their difficulties, just see that person in your mind's eye and contemplate some of the things that they're going through right now. And for the final few moments, just cultivate some compassion for their plight. Allow yourself to feel some of their pain. Every time you exhale, send that person all of your love and all of your compassion with your breath. Imagine those positive energies sweeping from your heart to theirs, carried by your exhales. And as your love and compassion touches the person, just imagine them receiving healing. And that's it. And just do it over and over again. Send your love and your compassion with your exhales, and imagine your person healing. In the middle of challenging times, and that will continue on for some time. I know that for me, a lot of times I run into people and other creatures suffering, and I have no idea what to do. In those moments, whenever I remember, I try to do that actual meditation right there on the spot. Whether it's a friend or a stranger, or sometimes even somebody they don't like, I try to send some compassion to them carried by my breath. I think that actually changes my energy a little bit in a way that's more supportive. I don't know if it helps or not, but I think it's something that can be done. So if you will, just consider bringing that into your day to day. Try it, and I think you might find that it has some good effects for you as well. Now for now, if you will, just let yourself roll all the way over to one side. And with both eyes closed, come back to a seated and cross-legged posture of some type. And join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Bring to mind the original person you dedicated your practices to. Either pray for or wish for their happiness and health. Take a moment to be thankful for another day. And if you wish, repeat after me. May all sentient beings everywhere experience peace.